join us. He just came back from his CC Rock presentation. Is there any questions that Eli could answer that Brandy deferred to Eli for relating to LEAP or anything else that Eli might be gracious enough to respond to? We have somebody with their hands up. Dragna, go ahead, unmute and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Dragana Skrbek. I'm with the Secretary of State. I am actually LEAP certified. Before I was hired, I did a couple of the assessment tests on CalCareers for the LEAP, and I never actually got the scores or results. And so that's something that you might want to take a look at, see if it's happening.
I'll let Eli answer that question.
Hello, good morning, Bobby, and good morning to everyone in attendance. So my recommendation is to send an email to CalCareers, and they will work with you in terms of making sure that those LEAP exams that you qualified for are reflected in your CalCareers account. It is unfortunately outside of our area of expertise or authority, so I do recommend contacting CalCareers. They will help you out on that particular regard.
All right, it was kind of just like a FYI, things are happening, so something that you maybe want to take a look into. Since I've passed the assessment test, just like for everybody else, and I was lucky enough to get a job at Secretary of State, but I just want to let you know that was the issue I had with at the CalCareers.
Okay, I will advise our colleagues at the Selections Division. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Eli since he's here? We have somebody from OSHPD hand up. Please go ahead, unmute, ask your question.
Hi, this is Lisa with the Office of the State Public Defender again. I asked Brandy this question, but she wasn't able to provide an answer. I am a former LEAP candidate from the 80s, and Brandy gave us the numbers from LEAP appointments from 2019 all the way up to 2022. And what I noticed is that in the fiscal year 2020, we have 540 LEAP appointments. But as the years progress, that declined. And so I'm just curious, why are the LEAP appointments numbers declining instead of growing?
There could be multiple factors, and thank you for that question, and thank you for paying attention to the statistics that Brandy shared. And Brandy, thank you so much for presenting on my behalf. I was at the California Civil Rights Officers Council meeting, and I actually did a presentation on LEAP in collaboration with a colleague from the Department of Rehab. So we're doing our part in terms of reaching out to other state agencies, other state professionals, especially in EEO and limited examination and appointment program coordination, in terms of making sure that they have the facts, the information regarding LEAP. So in regard to why the numbers declined, no formal studies have been conducted. And of course, there are multiple factors that could be involved or could have contributed to that decline. Let us not forget that, the pandemic years affected the entire world, and including, many of the state processes. So that could have been a reason. So again, as I've said, no formal study has been conducted. We don't have information in regard to why the number declined. But I recommend connecting with your EEO officer, with your LEAP coordinator, and perhaps engaging in a self-assessment in regard to how your department is performing. This is a message that I delivered the California Civil Rights Officers Council community. It's important for us to collaboratively work with one another in terms of making an assessment in terms of what's going on in each of our departments and how we could improve it. And If you are curious in regard to the specific statistics for your particular department, connect with your EO officer and LEAP coordinator, and I could help them out in that particular regard as well. And thank you again for that question and your interest.
Thank you.
Angelica Torres have a question posted in chat. And her question is, how many other agencies have not met the 16.6 quota? My DAC group wants to know. This report is actually published on CalHR's site, and I posted a link earlier in the chat. It's under Report 5. It's an Excel sheet that you can download that displays the statistics for all the departments that are reportable, right? Eli, and correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct. Thank you, Bobby, and thank you for partnering with us in because I think in almost every SDAC meeting we promote it. So that's a great thing because there's always interest that comes up. Yes, it is published on our webpage. And if you are not like an Excel person, if you're not too fond of like these fields, you could go to the report, the annual census, and there it's posted, in terms of the numbers. Each department statistics are indicated there, and it's quite an interesting report. So we recommend, and plus our office spends so much time and energy in producing that and working with departments. So it's a labor of love and heartache sometimes, and many efforts go into that. So please look into that particular report, and the information is all there.
And
Thank you, Bobby.
And Angelique clarified her question. Her question more or less was, what are the consequences for not meeting the 16.6 quota?
Good follow-up question. So we actually have a compliance team now at the Office of Civil Rights. We have a manager and a staff services analyst who will work with each department in terms of their submissions pertaining to the workforce analysis. So they will connect with the EO officer or the office that completes the workforce analysis in regard to their persons with disability representation, in regard to upward mobility, and all other relevant areas pertaining to the workforce analysis. So we have been fortunate, Office of Civil Rights at CalHR, to have been approved, in terms of our BCP. So we now have an enforcement arm in our particular office that has not existed since this year. We're fully staffed now in terms of our compliance unit, and they've already been working with the departments. So thank you for that follow-up question.
And just to clarify, those of you who can't follow the state acronyms like I can most of the time, BCP is Budget Change Proposal. This is a mechanism through they ask for the resources in terms of money, hiring people, and that's what CalHR proactively did and got some additional help. Now we will know that the help of the enforcement team, we will get a better result, hopefully, with this particular parity issue. And I think that was the question that was asked. Anything else for Eli? Eli's been gracious because he's been busy and probably tired from presenting at CC Rock earlier, but he came by to say hello and wanted to augment Brandy's wonderful presentation with any residual questions you may have. He's ultimately the authority in LEAP. That's his program.
For those of you who may not have consulted with me previously, I'm the statewide program manager for the EEO programs at CalHR, and part of my responsibilities is the limited examination and appointment programs. So LEAP coordinators, EEO officers, and other relevant professionals consult with us in regard to LEAP. In terms of authority, the State Personnel Board still owns the regulations pertaining to LEAP, so I do want to make that clarification. And we also work collaboratively with Department of Rehab and other divisions at CalHR, because there are many aspects of LEAP that fall into those areas of expertise. And Brandy's my manager, and I thank her again for presenting earlier while I was presenting at CROC. And thank you again, Bobby, for always graciously having us. Appreciate that.
And thanks for clearing up that distinction where State Personnel Board is the regulatory authority. They create those rules and regulations, and you guys implement LEAP, right? With the
That's
help
correct.
door certifying it, and then you implement it through all these other departments, correct?
Thank you, Bobby. Yes, that is correct.
We have one other person with a hands up. Miss Mary, go ahead and ask your question, please.
Eli, I was told when you're LEAP certified and you're hired, there's a different type of probation that you were on versus a regular employee. Can you elaborate on that for me, please?
Okay, yeah, sure. Thank you. What is your name again? I'm sorry.
She's Miss Mary.
Miss Mary. Okay. So LEAP candidates, when they are selected for a position, they go through what is called a job examination period. And that job examination period is basically the second part of the LEAP exam. That job examination period will be equivalent to the probation period for the parallel classification. So let's say a probation period is 6 months or 12 months for a particular classification. The job examination period will be for the same length. The other distinction is that during the job examination period, the LEAP candidate will receive a job examination period evaluation every 4 weeks of that job examination period. And that basically allows for an opportunity for the LEAP candidate to receive constant feedback, training, guidance from the supervisor and manager. And LEAP is designed in such way to, again, assist persons with disabilities in this alternative examination period. And once the LEAP candidate passes the job examination period, that individual is appointed as permanent for the position and will no longer need to go through a probation period. So I do want to share that particular information regarding that. So thank you for that question. Good question.
Thank you for the explanation. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
A couple of clarifying points I want to add is that job examination period typically mimics your regular probationary period for the classification that you ultimately going to be transitioned into a permanent post, correct?
Correct, yes. So you go through a JEP period instead of a probation period.
And if you're doing well and your supervisor agrees you're doing well, you could actually end that JEP early, but you must complete at least 75% of that period. In other words, you can end it as early as 9 months if you have a 1-year JEP period. Is that also true?
Very good. Yes, the regulations do permit a shortening of the job examination period. So if, let's say, the supervisor, manager has determined that the LEAP candidate is performing well and is basically demonstrating a performance of all the required duties of the position, the department could request a reduction of the JEP by contacting CalHR's Office of Civil Rights, and contact LEAP at calhr.ca.gov. And Bobby's correct. The LEAP candidate will have to serve at least 75%, 3/4 of the entire length of the JEP, but reducing it is definitely permissible. And it's another benefit that persons with disability who go through the LEAP process are provided with, per the regulations, per the California law. Thank you, Bobby.
You're welcome. And I should also add the regulation that he's referring to, that I'm referring it to, is California Code of Regulation, section 547.58.6, in case anyone's interested. Anyway, that's all I have on LEAP. Any other questions for Eli?
Bobby, if I may add one more thing, since we talked about the reduction of the JEP, conversely, it could be extended as well,
Yes.
based on permissible absences. And this is another great benefit for persons with disabilities who go through the LEAP examination process, go through LEAP process, because this is afforded to them based on the permissible absences. And then again, your LEAP coordinator will connect with CalHR's Office of Civil Rights, basically me, and will help them out in terms of processing these types of requests.
Right. Yeah, thank you for that distinction. And that's very important and very useful for a person with disabilities. Let's say you need some time off due to your disability, you're in the middle of this JEP, and that can be extended with mutual consent and production of, variety of documents and so forth. So that's a huge benefit to have that flexibility on your side. So thank you for bringing that up. Anyone else have any questions for Eli? Hearing none, thank you, Eli. Appreciate it. Once again, it's been a very informative presentation today. I thank all our guests and I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you next time. Nothing further I need to add. Have yourself a fantastic day and stay safe till our future presentation. Bye-bye.